Everybody, welcome back. We're reading the excellent story from the Burlesu tribe, Tatanka Iyotake's Dancing Horse. So I'm very excited. Let's get into it. As the teller of this tale puts it, by dancing and singing the right songs, the Lakota people thought they could bring back the good old buffalo hunting days. The days before the whites came, the days before smallpox, reservations, and too little to eat. So they danced. The ghost dance was peaceful, but the whites thought of it as the signal for a great Indian uprising. They asked the army for help, and in the end many unarmed ghost dancers, mostly women and children, were killed at Wounded Knee. So this is a very famous massacre. We Indians think that the white people were afraid of the ghost dance because they had a bad conscience, having taken away half of the remaining Indian land in just a few years before. So a slow encroachment. People with bad consciences live in fear, and they hate most those whom they have wronged. Thus it was with the ghost dance. At the same time, Sitting Bull lived on the Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota with his Hunkapapa people. He was not, as some people think, the war leader who had defeated Custer on the Little Bighorn. He was a holy man, the spiritual leader of the Sioux Nation. Notice this, these Native Americans specifically appointing people who were spiritual, right? It's quite interesting. He got along well with some whites, even had a few white friends, but he always said, I want the white man beside me, not above me. Sitting Bull, or Tatanka Iyotake, as he is called in Sioux, was a proud and dignified man and nobody's slave. Now, at some time before 1890, Sitting Bull had joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Oh, Wild West show! Buffalo Bill. He traveled all over the country. In New York, he could often be seen sitting on a doorstep on Broadway, giving nickels to poor street urchins and saying that white folks did not know how to take care of their children. Which, okay, you can make a joke that's why they put them all in boarding schools and daycares. I'm glad I raised mine. With Guatemalan nannies, right? They always pawn, many today, pawn their kids off on other people to raise while they work for their boss, who they treat as a god. He also said that all children, red, white, black, yellow, were alike in their innocence, and that if grown-ups could remain children in their hearts, all would be well. Sitting Bull and Buffalo Bill became friends. Sitting Bull and Buffalo Bill becoming homies. When the circus show was over, Buffalo Bill presented his friend Tatanka Iyotake with a fine sombrero, which the Indian holy man wore from then on. Buffalo Bill Cody also gave Sitting Bull his favorite circus horse. It was white and could do many tricks. Oh, very cool. I want a horse like that. Till I fall off. At that time, the great white father in Washington and the white agents who ruled the reservations thought that the solution to what they called the Indian problem was for Indians to behave like whites, to speak and dress like whites, to become Christians and worship like whites, to own property and work like whites, to marry whites, and to be swallowed up by white society. I mean, different type. It's very different, right? The integration back then than it is today. Some could argue it's just about just learning public manners, and even our own citizens fell at that. Now it's just so multicultural in America. So progress there, right? The problem would be solved by simply having no more Indians, by letting them disappear into the great American melting pot. Oh. So different way to look at the melting pot, as in racial integration instead of, tolerance and, the virtues of liberty and independence. Ideas versus actual racial mixing. I'm mixed, so I guess my family melted in that pot. Sitting Bull opposed this. He did not want the Indians to die out. He wanted them to remain true to their old ways, to go on worshipping the Great Spirit, to continue speaking their own language and singing their old Sioux songs. And because Sitting Bull was a Wichasa Wakan, a medicine man, he was also a medicine man, the most respected among the Lakota people, many Indians rallied around him. So he was a nationalist or a tribalist. What would you call them? This is an advocate for his people. Interesting. Many Indians rallied around him. Thus he became the center of the resistance to being swallowed up by the culture of the whites. Quite interesting. And thus he became the enemy of those who wanted to make the Indians into white men. They said that he stood in the path of progress, and the ghost dance troubled seemed a good opportunity to get rid of the old chief. He was accused of siding with the dancers and protecting them. The white reservation chief sent out the Indian police, 43 of them, to arrest Sitting Bull. If he resisted and was killed, so much the better. The police force was made up of what we now call apples, men who are red outside and white inside. Wow. Whoa. What an interesting insult. They were led by Lieutenants Shave Head and Bullhead. The police came to arrest the great leader before dawn on an icy winter morning. The ground was covered with snow. They burst into his one-room log cabin with their 6 shooters drawn. They dragged him naked from beneath his buffalo robe and pushed him outside. They would not even let him dress properly. Wow, that's brutal. They kept pushing at him as they put handcuffs on. The commotion awoke Sitting Bull's friends and relatives in the cabins nearby. Led by the old chief's friend and adopted brother, Chase the Bear. What a cool name, Chase the Bear. They came bowling out of their huts and teepees. A woman's voice rose in a song. It has the song here. Sitting Bull, you were a warrior once. What are you going to do now? The old chief stopped abruptly. He pushed the policeman away, saying, I won't go. Immediately one of the police chiefs shot him through the body, and an all-out fight to death began. It was always said that a fight between Indians and whites is one thing, but when the Sioux fight Sioux, watch out. The police tried to act like whites, but once the fight started, they became Indian warriors again. Wow, look at that. Look at that. What an interesting thing to say. They acting like the white system, sort of the colonial system, versus the tribal warrior tradition. So they reverted back when it came down to their fighting. What a very cool thing to say. And among Sitting Bull's friends were some of the bravest warriors who had fought in many famous battles. When it was over, 15 people lay dead or dying in the snow. Among them Sitting Bull, Chase the Bear, and 2 police chiefs. When the White Horse heard the shooting, it was thought it was back in the circus during the Wild West show. It began dancing and prancing, sitting on its haunches and raising up its front legs, jumping around, bowing, curtsying, doing all the tricks it had been taught. In this way, it honored its dead master only in the way it knew. Whoa. Could you imagine seeing a massacre and then see a horse dancing? Kind of freaked me out. All who saw it said that the horse was possessed, Wakan, in the spirit way, because it was unhurt even though it had danced through a hail of bullets. The White Horse kept dancing for a while after the fight was over and the bloody scent was silent. Thus Tatanka Iyotake, the great Sitting Bull, and his favorite white horse became part of the legend of our people. Told by George Eagle Elk at Parmelee Rosebud Indian Reservation, South Dakota, 1969, recorded by Richard Erdos. This is amazing. What a freaking amazing cool story. Wow. Chase the Bear, Sitting Bull, Buffalo Bill, Wichasa Wakan, a medicine man. Wow. What a fantastic culture. This is just a fraction of what we have, of peering into their minds and the way in which they think. It's beautiful. Wow.